Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a gripping and honestly deeply tragic story about a hiker who ventured into the unforgiving wilderness of the Continental Divide. We're looking at an event that absolutely captivated the world back in late July of 2026. It's a true test of human endurance that ended in a way literally no one saw coming. This isn't just your standard timeline of events, you know? It's a real look into the heart of an adventurer and a stark reminder of the realities of nature. Let's dive right in with a pretty powerful thought. In the wilderness, silence is usually a sign of peace, but sometimes silence is a cry for help. I mean, that perfectly sets the stage for what became an agonizing 5-day mystery that held a family on the complete opposite side of the world in absolute dread. The vast, rugged landscape of the Continental Divide had essentially swallowed a seasoned hiker, and for days, the only thing it offered back was a deafening silence. Now, what's truly terrifying is the detail of his final communication. On July 23, 2026, a blind Garmin check-in ping is received. Now, what does blind mean in this context? Well, it means the ping came through, proving his device was actually activated, but it carried absolutely zero GPS coordinates, a signal with no location. This blind ping was the very last proof of life, and it instantly sparked a frantic, massive search operation across the treacherous Wyoming landscape. Section 1. The Dream. Who was Will Standish? To really grasp the weight of his disappearance, we have to look at the man who willingly walked into the wild in the first place. The most crucial point here is the sheer scale of his ambition. 5,000. That is the number of kilometers in the Continental Divide Trail. Will was attempting one of the most challenging thru-hikes in the entire world, a grueling, relentless test of human endurance stretching all the way from the Canadian border down to Mexico. We're not talking about a weekend camping trip here. This is a monumental physical and mental undertaking. And his resilience? It was completely unmatched. Back in 2024, Will actually attempted this exact same trail, but was forced to quit because of a brutal foot injury. Now, most people would just hang up their boots after that, right? But not Will. He healed up, he saved his money, and he returned 2 years later in 2026 as a seasoned adventurer absolutely determined to conquer his previous limits and take a second shot at the prestigious American hiking Triple Crown. And to put his dedication into perspective, 14,000 kilometers. That is the massive distance this 28-year-old flew just to get to the trailhead. He traveled all the way from his home in Melbourne, Australia, right back to the United States just for this second chance at glory. I mean, the sheer commitment required to cross the globe just to walk back into the wilderness is pretty staggering. A beautifully heartfelt statement from his family really grounds who Will truly was. He felt deeply, loved genuinely, and always made people feel seen. Will was doing exactly what he loved. He wasn't out there running away from life, he was running toward it. He was a guy testing his limits against the absolute best the earth has to offer, fully supported by a family who understood his deep-seated need to explore. Section 2. The ticking clock. The search begins. You can literally feel the anxiety building day by day as we track this timeline. On July 19th, everything's totally fine. He calls his family, lays out his route through the Teton mountain range, sounding confident and full of life. Then comes July 23rd, that blind Garmin ping with no location. After that, 4 agonizing days of complete, uninterrupted silence passed. No pings, no calls. By July 27th, his family was forced to make the call they absolutely dreaded, officially alerting the Teton County Search and Rescue. The area the search crews mobilized to is known as the Wigwams, and a breakdown of the terrain reveals exactly why it's so incredibly lethal. Yes, they had stable weather conditions, which was a tiny blessing, but they were dealing with high-altitude passes, dense tree lines that completely obscure visibility from the air, and wildly exposed ridgelines. The defining features of this area, though, are the notoriously steep drop-offs and crumbling slopes. Even in perfect weather, a single misstep on that loose granite can literally mean falling hundreds of feet. This quote from a search and rescue official offers some vital perspective. He was an experienced hiker. He was doing everything right. This was an accident that could happen to anyone out there. This proves Will didn't go down because of recklessness or arrogance or stupidity. He had the right gear. He had the fitness. He had a rock-solid plan. The reality is, nature simply doesn't play favorites, and accidents can happen to even the most prepared people on the planet. Section 3. The Discovery. As dawn broke on July 29th, The exhaustive search grid finally yielded a completely heartbreaking conclusion. In the harsh morning light, a helicopter crew scanning the ground spotted a sudden flash of color, Will's bright orange backpack standing out vividly against the stark gray granite. But where there was a backpack, there was no movement. When the crew descended on foot to the ridge, the mission completely shifted. They knew in their hearts it was no longer a rescue, it was a recovery. The very bright orange gear that he wore to be safe and easy to spot ultimately confirmed the tragedy. Authorities found him below the ridgeline, concluding it was a suspected fatal fall on the steep slopes dividing Grand Teton National Park and the Jedediah Smith Wilderness. There was zero foul play suspected whatsoever. It was just the harsh, unyielding reality that the rugged, beautiful terrain that drew him all the way across the world tragically became his undoing. Section 4. The Legacy. The mountains keep score. While his grieving family back in Melbourne faced an absolute logistical nightmare, launching a fundraiser just to cover the immense, heartbreaking costs of bringing their son home, the wider hiking community flooded social media with tributes and condolences. Those who tackled the trail alongside him, or even just followed his journey online, all rallied together to honor a man who relentlessly chased the horizon. Of all the messages shared, this one simple tribute beautifully captures the sentiment of a community in deep mourning. Walk on well. The trail is calling you home. It's a really poignant farewell to a man who endured previous injuries, traveled halfway around the globe, and pushed his absolute physical limits simply doing what he felt born to do. A rescue worker left us with this incredibly profound reflection. We all go into the wild seeking life, but we must never forget that the mountains keep the score. It serves as this stark, humbling reminder of nature's sheer, unforgiving power. Nature is undeniably beautiful for sure, but she is rarely forgiving. Will went down doing exactly what he loved. We explore to feel alive, right? Knowing full well the immense risks we take every time we step past the tree line. But as we wrap up this explainer, it leaves us wondering, is the ultimate price of exploration always at the mercy of the mountains? Let that sink in.